He's the tall figure in the woods, a faceless man in a black suit, too tall, too thin, and silent. He's known for watching, waiting, and influencing. He's the subject of 1,000 internet stories, games, videos, and at least one real-life tragedy. This is Slender Man. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew. Welcome to the new studio. See, I'm looking down here at my iPad, which is my new secondary monitor. I unfortunately broke my primary monitor when it was in the back of the SUV for 3 months bouncing around. Didn't mean to. Obviously, I didn't mean to. But, so I'm back to using my secondary monitor here as a main, which it works. It's a gaming monitor, so it works for editing just fine. And I've got my iPad Air now, which can be used as a secondary monitor, so I can still monitor myself when I'm recording. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Slender Man. We're talking about Slender Man today. We're going to talk about the myth. We're going to talk about how it was created. We're going to talk about the movie, and we're going to talk about the real-life tragedy centered around this figure. So grab yourself something to drink, grab yourself a snack, maybe some popcorn, some chips, whatever, and come hang out with me. Slender Man was born on June 10th, 2009 on an online forum called Something Awful as a part of a Photoshop contest. Users were challenged to take ordinary photographs and add paranormal elements to them, essentially creating digital folklore. One user, Eric Knudsen, posting under the name Victor Surge, submitted 2 black and white images of children at play. In the background, barely visible, loomed a tall, faceless figure in a black suit. But it wasn't just the image that made Slender Man iconic. It was the story Surge added. Quote, "We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time." Unquote. These lines read like scraps from a forgotten report, cryptic, mysterious, and terrifying. Within hours, the community latched on. Other users began contributing their own stories, images, and sightings. Within days, the new legend was born. What started as a meme quickly evolved in a collaborative internet myth, a process known as Creepypasta, where short horror stories are spread from the internet like digital campfire stories. Slender Man spread rapidly on forums like Reddit and 4chan, through blogs, fan art, YouTube channels, and later, mainstream news. He became a flagship figure of online horror, our generation's boogeyman. I don't know why Oh, you can't see my hands anyways. Cool, you didn't even see that. I'm telling myself don't even need to. So, what is Slender Man exactly? Descriptions vary, but certain traits remain consistent. He's abnormally tall, often 8 to 15 feet. His limbs are elongated, almost rubbery. His face is completely featureless, pale, white skin, no eyes, no mouth, no expression. He wears a black suit and tie, sometimes with a red or black tie, often disheveled or surreal in how it moves. From his back, he may spout shadowy tendrils or tentacles, reaching, grasping like smoke or living shadow. They're often portrayed as a way to ensnare or paralyze victims. Slender Man never speaks. He does not chase, he does not run, he appears. And that's part of the terror. He is often associated with a phenomenon called slender sickness. Victims who encounter him may suffer memory loss, nightmares, nausea, paranoia, technology malfunctions, and visual hallucinations. Many stories claim he targets children or the emotionally vulnerable individuals, particularly those dealing with trauma or isolation. In several versions, he appears to children first, like an imaginary friend, and gradually isolates them from others before abducting them and driving them into madness. He is not a creature that kills immediately. Instead, he corrodes. The stories vary, but they often follow similar patterns. A child reports a tall man watching from the woods. Drawings begin to appear, distorted stick figures, tall men, warnings like "he sees me" or "don't look." The child becomes withdrawn, paranoid, or physically ill, and then eventually they disappear. Popular user-submitted stories from the early 2010s describe camping trips gone wrong, missing persons in small towns, and whispered warnings in school. He became the monster lurking just out of frame. In a fan-made series, Marble Hornets, Slender Man, called the Operator, takes on a more physiological form, connected to missing time, static interference, and a slow descent into paranoia and madness. This series ran from 2009 to 2014 and was instrumental in shaping how Slender Man was portrayed across media. Slender Man games exploded in popularity between 2012 and 2014. Slender Man: The 8 Pages was a simple indie horror game where you're alone in the woods collecting notes while being stalked by Slender Men. The game's minimalist design and atmosphere made it terrifying and addicting. Its success led to Slender: The Arrival, a more fleshed out game with disturbing narrative and improved mechanics. Slender Man's mythos was also featured in several web series: Marble Hornets, Everyman Hybrid, 12th Tribe, or Tribe 12. 12 Tribes was a band in the early 2000s. I used to have a t-shirt. I remember I saw them in concert here in downtown Dayton.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Each portrayed Slender Man in an increasingly surreal and psychologically intense way, playing with found footage, ARG or alternate reality games, elements, and viewer immersion. In 2018, Hollywood released a film simply titled Slender Man. It was widely criticized for being shallow, unfocused, and exploitative, especially given the real-world stabbing case we'll soon discuss. The film attempted to cash in on the myth without understanding what made it effective: subtlety, silence, and suspense. Despite the film's failure, the Slender Man myth has cemented itself in horror pop culture. It appears in fan fiction, tabletop RPGs, music, artwork, podcasts, and even psychology discussions. But nothing made Slender Man feel more real than what happened in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I would like to see a D&D game with Slender Man as the baddie. That would be interesting. I'd like to see that. DMs, get on that and send it to me for homebrew.
Approximately 10 hours later.
The stabbing case. The girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir. On May 31st, 2014, three 12-year-old girls, Morgan Geyser, Anissa Weir, and Peyton Lautner, went into the woods in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and only two came back. Morgan and Anissa were obsessed with Slender Man. They believed he was real. More than that, they believed that he would hurt their families if they did not prove their loyalty. To become his proxies, his servants, they believed they had to kill someone, and they chose their best friend, Peyton. Morgan Geyser had shown signs of serious mental illness from a young age. By the time of the attack, she was experiencing hallucinations, seeing imaginary people, hearing voices, and later she would be diagnosed with early onset schizophrenia, something that ran in her family. Anissa Weir was a quieter girl, socially awkward, deeply immersed in internet culture, and heavily influenced by online fiction. While she wasn't diagnosed with the disorder as severe as Morgan's, she showed signs of delusional thinking and emotional dependency. The two became close friends and fed into each other's fantasies. They shared a belief in Slender Man, not just as fiction, but as the entity who lived in a mansion in the Nissilet National Forest. They believed that if they killed for him, he would invite them to live with him. The crimes. On the morning of May 31st, 2014, the three girls had a sleepover. They dressed up, they roller skated, they ate donuts. Then they led Peyton, known as Bella, to her friends into the woods during a game of hide and seek. Morgan brought a kitchen knife. At first, Anissa tried to coax Morgan into doing it. Morgan hesitated. Then Anissa told Peyton to lie down and cover herself with leaves. Morgan stabbed Peyton 19 times. Wounds struck her legs, arms, torso. One came within a millimeter of her heart. They left her to die, but somehow she didn't. Peyton crawled to a nearby trail where a cyclist found her, bloodied but alive. She told authorities what happened. Morgan and Anissa were found walking along a highway 2 hours later on their way to Slender Man's mansion. The aftermath. The story made international headlines. People were horrified, not just by the violence, but by the motive. 2 preteen girls had tried to kill their friend because they believed in an internet myth. A creature that doesn't exist, or at least shouldn't. Morgan was found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, and was committed to a mental health institution. Anissa took a plea deal, also resulting in institutionalization. Peyton Lautner recovered physically, but emotional scars ran deep. In later interviews, she described struggling with trust, fear, and recurring trauma, but also a fierce determination to survive and move forward. Yeah, that girl had been through it, man. As of 2021, Anissa Weir was released from the Winnebago Mental Health Institute after 7 years. She was 19 at the time of her release and remains under state supervision until 2039. She must wear a GPS tracker and live in an undisclosed location under strict rules. Morgan Geyser remains institutionalized. Her legal team has petitioned for conditional release, but as of now, she continues to receive psychiatric treatment. Her schizophrenia diagnosis has been a key factor in keeping her in care. Peyton Lautner has remained largely private. She gave a few public interviews, including one on 2020, and emphasized her desire to be known not as a victim, but as a survivor. She graduated high school and began college, focusing on a future far away from the woods of Waukesha. Slender Man was meant to be a fiction, but fiction in the right or wrong minds can become something more. It can become belief, obsession, even violence. The myth of Slender Man endures, but so does the story of what happened when fantasy bled into reality. The horror story wrote itself. He was never real, but for Peyton, Morgan, and Anissa, he didn't have to be. If you found this compelling, chilling, or you found anything at all in this important, consider subscribing, and remember, sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones we imagine. Sometimes they're the ones we create, or just people. People can be monsters. People can be monsters. That's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what you think of Slender Man, or anything. You know, if you want to talk about the crime, or any of the games, or the Sony movie. The movie is, I believe, free on YouTube right now. Don't quote me on that, but it might be. Go check it out if it is. I mean, it's free. What can it hurt, you know? But yeah, I'm gonna go do some more work. Have a great rest of the day. Sorry, finger guns again. Listen. They had 2 liters of Mountain Dew on sale. Buy 2, get 2 free. So I bought 4 2 liters of Baja Blast, and I've been sucking on that, like sucking them down for like 2 days straight. So I'm a little wired, sorry, but yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you guys for waiting so long. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you so much. I will see you on the next video. Peace out.
Never
just a part of a Photoshop contest. Why am I still wearing headphones? Why? Why, YouTube? Why am I wearing headphones when I cannot hear my own voice in the headphone? Other users began to